Germany, where I saw for myself Berlin's infamous wall.
I have to say, it doesn't seem that big. Stop anybody.
I met some Nazis who weren't really Nazis.
Every German has a little Adolf inside.
A tiny one, which must be suppressed.
Watched boxers, played chess.
It gives an extra element to the boxing, it gives an extra element to the chess. I think it's wonderful.
Stayed in a hotel that used to be a prison.
I think you've got my key.
I met an Englishman who likes to hang out with his friends.
After a while you get into the bowling. Doesn't matter if everybody's walking around with their bollocks hanging out.
The east of Germany used to be known as the German Democratic Republic, and I'm in Dresden, where I'm pleasantly surprised by how beautiful it is, because the only thing I know about the city is that it was controversially bombed by the Allies just before the surrender of Nazi Germany. 650,000 incendiary bombs alone were dropped, creating a giant firestorm. And 90% of the city centre was destroyed. To this day, nobody really knows how many people died.
It's hard to imagine all those horrors that happened 60 odd years ago. It seems so sort of peaceful now and quiet and rather lovely.
But while the architecture has been painstakingly restored, I noticed a marked absence of younger people, and the city feels a little empty. The truth is that the former GDR is suffering from its own terrible recession. Unofficial figures show unemployment is running as high as 50% in some areas, and much of the housing now sits empty, so there's a comprehensive programme of urban downsizing. This is not what I expected to see in Europe's strongest economy. We now seem to be headed even further east, deep into the rural backwaters. But as usual, my researcher Jan is not giving much away.
Do we have far to go?
Yep.
Two hours later, and we finally arrive at our destination. It looks more like the Wild West than Wild East.
You think what we're going to see here is part of sort of East German culture?
Yeah, it's remnants of it.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Very dim.
We seem to have ended up in Oklahoma,
All right.
but I'm hoping our hosts, Robert and Simona, will shed some light.
Hello, Paul. Paul, hello.
Robert. Hi.
Simona. Fine again. Hello, pleased to meet you. Hello. Oh, be careful of the drips on there. So, can I ask you then, how did you first get into this whole thing about the cowboy? What's the attraction for him?
Also so abenteuerliche Gestalten, so mit langen Haaren und Pistolen und Messern und
This is legendary adventurous people with long hair and guns.
und brauchten nicht um 7 im Bett sein.
Who didn't have to go to bed at 7 o'clock in the evening.
Does his wife share the same enthusiasm for everything sort of cowboy and Indian?
Ich bin mehr auf der anderen Seite. Ich bin Indianerin.
She's on the other side. She's in India.
I see. So are they the only two who do this in former East Germany, or is there somebody else?
Seid ihr denn alleine? Macht ihr das nur zu zweit, ihr beiden hier?
Wir sind ein Verein.
Der Club.
A club? Ah, okay.
It turns out there used to be hundreds of these clubs in the days of the old German Democratic Republic, because they provided one of the very few ways people could legally gather together.
The simple fact that there were Indians and they were suppressed by capitalist America in the end was sort of playing.
I see. So the cowboys are seen as the capitalists, and the Indians are seen as the sort of Native American who are put upon by the capitalists. So
Kann man das so sagen, dass in der DDR eigentlich die Cowboys, die ein bisschen die Bösen waren, die Kapitalisten, und die Indianer,
Das kann man so sagen.
We can definitely say that.
yes, but as if the cowboys are the baddies, why is he dressed as a cowboy? Surely it's not just occurred to you.
Die Frage ist gut. Ja.
Böse zu sein ist doch manchmal schön, oder?
It's a good question.
I sense that Robert and Simona miss the old days.
Thank
And
you.
as we head inside for coffee, I have a feeling that theirs is not going to be a typical East German home.
Oh,
As our hosts busy themselves in the kitchen, I have a chance to take in the decor.
well, having sort of thought about it, I've come to the conclusion that they're absolutely bonkers. In a nice way, in a nice friendly way, but really eccentric. Yeah, and I've been to some strange places in my life, but I've never been to a cowboy ranch in East Germany before.
That's why I thought you'd quite enjoy this one.
Yes, though, I believe if you go to Colorado, they've got minuscule representations of the Berlin Wall, where people stand around pretending to be guards at Checkpoint Charlie.
At last, the supply wagon has got through.
Thank you.
Simona and Robert are generous hosts, but like many in the area, they've both been unemployed for years, and prospects are bleak.
Dieses Weggehen, gerade der jungen Leute, das ist eigentlich in erster Linie ein Problem.
Big problem here at the moment is that all the young people in general, as soon as you get to age when you need to go and work, they go into the old part of Germany, into West Germany,
Right.
start and learn there, and then of course stay there because that's where the work is. So all the young people migrate.
Which explains why so much of East Germany is deserted. We've now left the little house on the prairie, and we're trailblazing our way to the bottom of the OK Corral.
What are we going to see exactly?
Well, they're putting on some sort of show, and they
Yes.
told us to sort of just get down there through this.
Right.
But for city slickers like us, the lack of pavements is a severe disadvantage.
I'm not really insured for stunt work.
At the bottom of this muddy field, what's left of the old Crazy Horse gang are preparing to show us how the East was won.
Front row stalls.
A grand total of 9 members, if you include Robert and Simona's children. I have a sneaking suspicion we are about to witness Custer's last stand against his wife. And so the Battle of the Little Bighorn begins. With the emphasis very much on the little.
What on earth do you tell the neighbours? He's dead.
He's up again.
Oh, he's up again. He's alright.
Very entertaining, if a little violent. But I do say a spot of role-playing works wonders for a relationship.
Do you find that this sorts out a quarrel between the two of you?
Ist wirklich authentischer, wenn wir uns vorher gestritten haben. Dann sind wir leidenschaftlicher.
She says it's more authentic if they had a fight before.
To get the real Wild West experience, I never thought I'd have to come to East Germany. But I like eccentrics, I like people who do things differently. They're clearly having a wonderful time reenacting and recreating the Wild West, and good luck to them really. It's a hobby which is both a sort of fulfilling hobby and also a lifestyle as well, so danke. Wonderful, it's brilliant.
the second largest city in Germany. It feels wealthy and traditional, and unlike Berlin, Munich and Dresden, it also seems comfortable with its history. Despite its obvious conservatism, Hamburg is also renowned for its liberal attitudes towards the sex industry. The Reeperbahn area used to house Europe's largest brothel. And since the 1960s, the city has been one of Europe's #1 party destinations.
This is where the Beatles first started, in this club here, used to be called the Star Club. And in fact, this very cigarette here was smoked by John Lennon. What was it, this one? Sorry, that one was definitely smoked by John Lennon. Yeah, you can tell.
Hamburg is also one of Europe's largest ports. And since reunification, business is booming. Some 10 million containers now pass through here every year. And these old warehouses have been gentrified into luxury apartments, restaurants and offices. But that's not all. Deep within the bowels of one of these buildings lies a secret world, where an immense network of cameras and computers allow a shadowy team to monitor and control not only Hamburg, but other parts of Germany, Europe, and indeed the world. On closer inspection though, there's something rather odd about their setup. This is our world, but not quite as we know it.
It's the most perfectly constructed miniature world I've ever seen. It's extraordinary.
This is Wonderland, the largest model railway in the world. It has 12 kilometers of interconnected track, over 1 million visitors every year, and it's equally spectacular by day or by night.
The level of detail is extraordinary. You could walk around here every day and see something new, I'm sure. This is meant to be Hamburg, I think. This is where we've been staying. I recognise him. It's definitely Hamburg. I bought a newspaper off him the other day, that bloke there.
Wonderland is the creation of twins Gerrit and Frederick Braun. And the daunting task of managing this sprawling operation falls to younger brother Sebastian.
Hello, I'm Paul. Hello. Frederick, hello.
Nice to meet you. Hi, Gary.
Gary, hello. How are you?
Fine, thanks. And you?
I'm amazed by what you've done here. And this is covering every aspect of the model that you have?
Yes, on the top we have the cameras, 200 cameras, and then the computers are starting with the lights. We have 300,000 small LED lights.
300,000?
And each light is controlled by the computer, so I can make on-off with each light. And 22 computers are controlling the trains.
How many trains do you have running at any one time?
About 700, 800.
Between the two of you, how do you decide what you're going to do next?
Fight. It's totally a fight. He has the ideas, I have to work, and he earns the fun.
No, I'm the only one who is not a boss. Really? Yeah. What is the advantage of building a model world as opposed to the real world outside? I suppose you have more control?
Yes, of course. It's sometimes like you can play God. You can build the things in that way you want to have it. I want to show you my favorite place.
Well, you have a favorite place amongst all this?
Normally, the news place is my favorite place.
The enthusiasm of these brothers is totally infectious,
When you look through it, it looks like reality.
as is their schoolboy humour.
What is it we got here? It's not a monk. We've got a monk looking at a woman having trouble with her car.
A woman with a nice car.
A woman with a nice car. But how important is it to you that you have that kind of sort of humorous detail?
For us, it's very important because we want to have much fun, and this makes fun.
So is it a perfect world that you've created here?
No.
No.
Not perfect, but real.
Real, okay.
Yes, we have a few things which are not perfect. You can see it in the hard life, like a funeral.
Yes.
In fact, the darker side of society seems to feature rather prominently. Virtually all aspects of human life and death are here. And fire is something that seems to be a particular favourite. Quite a few of these buildings regularly burst into flames.
So the fire engines have arrived, have they?
Yes. 35 fire engines coming to this fire. It's exactly the way the Hamburg Fire Department is doing this if a house like this is going.
I'm beginning to think that Wonderland is just a wonderful way for these brothers to realise their fantasies and in full view of the public.
You can see a scene. You have often the questions of small kids making this. Mum, what they are doing?
Oh, I see. Yes.
I have a better one.
Oh, okay.
My favorite sexy scene. It's looking like a normal beach scene.
Yes.
Behind the stand you can see a small film scene.
Oh, yes, okay.
You can see a naked woman in the car.
Yes.
I have to see it better. And now you can see the Mustang.
Yes.
I don't know what they are doing
that's
inside.
hilarious.
One way or another, sex seems to be the driving theme of their world.
It's not often in life you wish you were that high, but at this moment I really wish I was.
The scale of their imagination and sheer attention to detail is staggering.
Do you sometimes look at this and think, we didn't know we could do it as well as this? Because you couldn't have imagined this when you first started, that it would be like this.
I hope that we can do it, and in my dreams, in my mind, there was something like this, but not nearly as perfect as this.
There was something strangely pervasive about Gerrit and Frederick's creation. And as I catch my train to Frankfurt the following day, I'm finding it hard to differentiate between the real world and Wonderworld.
We can assume perhaps that behind all those bushes that we're passing, all those trees, I said there are couples engaged in erotic coupling, because that's the image I've certainly been given by the model railway. If there's a bush, there's two people behind it. Two people if you're lucky.
Much as I like travelling by train, with Jan his usual scintillating self, I have a feeling it's going to be a long 3.5 hours to Frankfurt.
How would you think it would compare to Hamburg on my initial impressions?
It's just not as pretty.
Not as pretty.
But it's very nuanced, although, big skyscrapers, the one city in Germany where you've really got a skyline in that sort of modern Manhattan kind of sense.
Oh, right. Do you think would you say it was a little bit soulless, perhaps? Yeah. Well, looking forward to this. Looks like we're going to the equivalent of Basildon.
So here we are in Frankfurt, and not a moment too soon, or too late for that matter.
This is rather wonderful. Look, we're meant to arrive at 1800, at exactly 1800. My watch is 1800. Fantastic German efficiency.
Which may well be the reason Germany is Europe's largest economy. Frankfurt, often referred to as Bankfurt, is home to more than 300 different banks. And though Germany may not have suffered as much as Britain in the recent recession, the bill for shoring up East Germany still runs at around £50 billion per year. It's the final day of my Teutonic trip, and I shall miss these magical mystery tours.
Yeah, where are we at the moment?
It's the Odenwald is called the area. So it's a rural, very foresty area outside Frankfurt. Sort of Brothers Grimm territory where they sort of collected there.
A Grimm territory, did you say?
Yeah, it's sort of from the north of here to down here is where they collected the majority of their fairy tales.
Oh, the Grimm's fairy tale. Yeah. So when you said Grimm area, I thought you meant sort of as in not very pleasant. But that's my basic misunderstanding.
Our destination is the picturesque village of Hettigenberg. We're here to visit a family who are apparently bucking the trend of the financial recession with a highly successful cottage industry.
Really? Hello, pleased to meet you.
What that might be, I have no idea, because Jan believes that knowledge should always be on a need-to-know basis. And sadly, I've never been on his list. What I do know is that, like Wonderland, this is a family business, and the mother, Maria, is taking us to meet the rest of her clan.
This is her son Daniel.
Oh, Daniel.
He does all the
Hi,
drinking.
Daniel. I'm Paul. Hello. Very pleased to meet you.
Jasmine, the daughter.
Jasmine. Hello, I'm Paul. Hello. Pleased to meet you. Hi. Hi.
And this is Maria's husband, Elmar, but he seems a little preoccupied right now.
Is this what I think it is?
Ist das, was glaubt, dass es ist?
Hello,
Hello. I'm Paul. Hi.
I'm Elmar.
Elmar. Hello. Pleased to meet you. What is this that you've made here?
Es ist ungewöhnlich. Wir fertigen Holzdildos oder Holzvibratoren.
It's unusual. They're making wooden dildos or wooden vibrators.
Right. Can I ask, what gave you the idea to because it's quite an odd business for a family to be involved in. What first gave Elmar the idea to do this?
Ich habe Holzpilze gedrechselt, die man als Schmuckstücke in der Vorgartenstelle kann.
He was making decorative mushrooms for the garden.
Oh yes, okay, yes.
Und als der Pilz so eingespannt war hier, da dachte ich, das geht auch etwas kleiner.
So when he had that mushroom in that machine, he sort of looked at it and said, oh, I might be able to do that a little smaller.
Yes. Und so ist der erste Holzdildo entstanden.
And that's how the first wooden dildo, came into being.
That was 3 years ago, and from small acorns, as they say, some fairly large oaks have now grown.
This one here, can I take this?
Darf ich das kurz nehmen?
Well, this is just an ornament, isn't it? This can't possibly be used.
Das ist mehr Ornament, das wird nicht wirklich benutzt, oder?
Das ist unser Goliath.
This is the Goliath.
Yes.
Wie der Name sagt, ist eigentlich ein Dekodildo.
It's a decoration dildo.
Yes,
the name sort of
yes.
suggests.
Wird aber immer öfter zum Gebrauch gekauft.
But more and more people sort of buy it for use.
Really?
Wirklich?
Ja, verkaufen wir hauptsächlich nach Berlin, da hat sich verstarrt.
He was saying that they mainly sell it to Berlin, where there's the biggest assholes.
Maria, do you have a favourite design amongst all these? Is there something that you sort of think is better than the other models?
Also mein Lieblingsteil ist das hier zum Beispiel, die kleine Hummel.
This one is called Bumblebee, that's her
Das ist
favorite one.
im Schaft ein Motor drin.
So the little vibrator at the end.
Vorne an der Kugel, da vibriert es noch.
And the bowl, it sort of vibrates at the end.
Also ich bin ganz
Oh, yes.
begeistert von dem. Ja, super, ja.
Der schließt
Elmar, on the other hand, seems especially proud of their range of novelty butt plugs.
und haben ein Wackelauge. Das heißt, wenn es jemand drin hat und der bückt sich, dann kann man sagen, dem schaut einer raus.
So he's saying that if someone would use that and would plug themselves and bends over, that someone's looking out of his eyes.
Oder wenn sich jemand nachschminken will, hat er ja einen Spiegel.
A mirror.
Or if you do need some touch-ups, basically.
And you may be glad to know that Elmar's butt plugs are built to last.
Kann man vererben.
Yeah, you can give it to your grandchildren when you die.
Yes, that'd be a touching moment, wouldn't it?
Vorteil.
The marketing of their products is handled by older son Stefan. Prices start at around €79, and they currently take some 6,000 orders a year. But being a boutique operation, they can also handle bespoke orders.
Papaya
So they get drawings of customers
und
sending
hier eine Nachbildung aus
papayas.
Holz.
Rebuild them in wood.
Avocado.
Or an
An
avocado.
avocado,
Yeah.
okay.
Perhaps it's just me, but Germans do seem to have a very open attitude to all things sexual.
Also ich denke schon, dass in Deutschland das Thema ein bisschen offener
She'd say, yeah, there definitely seems to be a bit more openness in Germany in general. If you see, you can see it on their family really, that if there wouldn't be that openness, they wouldn't be able to do something like this.
Yes.
Business.
And when you left school, did you ever imagine you'd be doing something like this?
Nein, Fine.
I think that was clear now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kannst du mal zu, habt ihr das mitgekriegt die Woche?
Tea breaks here often double as board meetings, and today they've gathered to decide upon the name for their new economy line model.
Okay, jeg finder schon Teil mit Holly.
Wer ist für den Waldmichel? Ja, boah, einstimmig.
So that was the decision on the name.
They've decided on a name?
Officially named Walt Michel.
Which rather aptly translates as the naughty boy from the wood.
Well, I suppose the moral of this story is that the family that makes vibrators together stays together. And why not? Whenever I think about holidaying in Europe, I always think of here. A country that may be just across the water from Britain, but couldn't be more different. And though historically there's not been much love lost between us, for me this country will always have a special place in my heart.
I first came to Ireland, I suppose, probably when I was about 8 or 9, back in about 1968, 69, something like that. I thought it was an absolutely wonderful place because my mother's Irish and everybody here had the same accent as my mother. And of course I was an object of great love as well because it was all, look, there's Mary's little boy and all that sort of thing. So I just loved it, and I felt Irish in a way that I've never felt English.
I'm starting my journey in the south of the country, in County Cork. This is where I holidayed as a child, and you can see why. But the area has a bolder reputation. A long history of defiance earned Cork the title of the Rebel County, and a rather intriguing story has just caught my eye.
I saw this article in the Irish Examiner this morning referring to a guy who lives in Fermoy, which we're about 15 minutes away. His name's Colin Carroll. He's a solicitor, but the interesting thing about him is he's trying to break into the female world of synchronised swimming. Although he's a man, he's trying to break in, and he's causing a bit of controversy. But not just that, he's been crowned the amateur world elephant polo champion. And he was Ireland's first ever competitor at the Sumo World Wrestling Championships, and apparently he holds the world record of the three-legged marathon. So, can't wait to meet him.
Fermoy is a picture postcard town in the north of the county, wealthy and conservative, and Colin's family of solicitors is one of the most established and respected law firms in the country, going back 4 generations. Unfortunately though, Colin didn't seem all that thrilled to get our call.
Hi, hello. I'm here to meet Colin Carroll. Thank you.
Hi, Colin. Is there a reception for you?
He has reluctantly agreed to meet us, but only after 5 o'clock.
Hey.
Hi.
Paul?
I'm Paul. Hello, Colin.
Yeah.
Hello, pleased to meet you. How are you?
Yeah, fine. Why don't we
Yeah,
go through it well? Okay. Go upstairs here.
Because you said this thing about synchronised...
Keep it down. Just people working here. We go up to well.
On first impression, Colin looks every inch the conservative solicitor.
I'm actually at the back. Right.
And an unlikely candidate for a female synchronised swimmer.
Through here, a little maze.
Okay.
Come in. Here's my little...
All right, thank you.
I'll just close.
Why do we have to whisper?
Well, basically, it's a serious office. We do serious work, and the synchronized swimming it doesn't wash with, what this office does.
So you're desperate to become a member of the synchronised team. How are you going to fool the judges? I mean, they're going to spot that you're a man, aren't they?
Well, I need to be a woman. Here's the catch.
I can see the catch. I can see the catch from here. Okay, so how do you become a woman? How do you become a woman?
Yeah, well, no, the thing is, first of all, I need to become a woman on paper.
Right, yes.
That's a rubber stamp to get through. Well, it's not. Colin, I can be Colleen Carroll, okay?
Yes, okay.
But by doing that, I'm effectively forging the document, aren't I? And the ramifications for me are... Well, they're not small. I mean, I have these guys looking on my shoulder. I mean, that's my father, that's my grandfather, that's my great-grandfather.
All solicitors.
All solicitors.
It's a stunning lack of imagination, doesn't it? All four of them doing the same thing.
There's my father, Carol's tax planning in Ireland.
Oh, I never would ask a copy of it.
That's the only copy ever published. You must have broken in here before. No, but the point is, I might end up in jail.
Yes.
I will do it.
Yeah, do you like shaking, stirring things up?
Yeah, and so I suppose it really started with the Olympics. I came up with an alternative Olympics.
An alternative Olympics?
Yeah, the Paddy Games. I don't know if you heard about that.
The Paddy Games?
Yeah, the Paddy Games, which actually, hang on, I actually have a thing on it here. Here we go. For example, in the ordinary Olympics, look,
yes,
you run forwards and, well, in these, you run backwards. In the Orthodox Olympics, you run in runners. We, in ours, run in wellies. We've bog roll gymnastics. We've all kinds of things. This is going to be kind of an alternative take on sports. Interspecies relay. Pass a baton to an animal. Yeah. Well, do you object?
Okay, you've got the puma, you've got the tortoise.
And you get to choose your own animal. You choose your own animal.
Did you suffer some sort of trauma when you were at school, when there was a sports day that you... I think we're getting to the nub of something here, where something happened to you when you were 8 years old and you got the bronze when you should have got the gold, and...
I had a mishap. I broke my back 10 years ago.
Oh.
And in a windsurfing accident, and I had steel bars in my back, and so basically that meant that when I was lying there in the hospital bed, I said, if I recover from this accident, I will do respect to the miracle of movement and explore my body physically, in other words, in sports terms, as much as possible. No. If rugby could only be played by males, you would now have said, if you're talking to a girl, you would have said, well, you have to become a man. She, a female rugby player, does not want to become a man. I don't want to become a woman. I have to become a woman. The question is, will my forefathers go nuts by becoming a woman?
You probably know the answer to that, don't you?
Well, so the fourth generation, the oldest law firm in the country, will come to an end because I want to become a synchronized swimmer.
Lovely, nice winnow of boy. Nice piece.
Whether Colin's newfound passion is worth the destruction of one of the country's most established legal institutions is open to debate. But on the plus side, he is helping to maintain Cork's reputation as Ireland's rebel county.
Take it slow. Hey, stay alive,
As you may have gathered, Ireland is definitely my spiritual home, even if this isn't my spiritual weather. Either way, it's a country of strong traditions and a powerful Catholic faith. Which is why I've been intrigued to hear about this place. A spiritual theme park buried deep in the bogs of County Wicklow. It's the creation of this man, an ex-Buddhist monk called Victor, who I've been warned can be a little intense. And though Victor's park is open to the public,
Can I help you out, old man?
there doesn't seem to be any public here.
What is this place you have here?
This is not a holy place. This was a midlife crisis temple where we take guys like you in midlife and chop them in little pieces.
And what happens when I'm chopped into little pieces?
Well, then you figure out what it is you really wanted to do if you got another chance. You figure that one out.
Okay.
There's an old saying that them what comes from abroad becomes more Irish than the Irish. And I'm one of them what came from abroad.
So when did you move to Ireland?
1946. Having enjoyed the wonders of the Dresden bombing, I was in the railway station.
Oh, were you?
Oh yeah, I was grateful. Oh, fantastic. Better than anything Spielberg could ever do. Oh, really great.
I mean, that was a very intensive...
Oh yeah, well, a current life is intense, right?
Yes.
That's where I got the baptism of fire. Great stuff. Anyway, come and see my vagina.
Come and see your vagina?
Yes. Every man has to have his own little vagina.
Wow.
You go in there, you go in through, you go back up the spout, right, and you go back to the source of creation to figure out, if I start again at the beginning, maybe I'll get it right next time. Okay?
Okay.
That's after you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Victor certainly is intense. But it's not every day you get to pass through the loins of a German-Irish Buddhist to visit his midlife crisis temple.
Oh, well, this is lovely.
These are Ganeshas.
Uh-huh.
As you can see, this group's unique in the universe.
I saw Ganeshas when I was in India. They're worshipped as a god by both Hindus and Buddhists, and are traditionally accompanied by a rat.
This is your typical Irish Ganesh. You got the rat,
Yes.
drinking a pint of genius, and playing a barong.
Victor's Ganeshas all have a delightfully humorous twist, but there's a more serious message to come.
Basically, the idea here is Ganesh represents the ordinary human being. It's the last day of youth, and now they have to learn about the truths of life. Now, in that forest, there used to live a shaman, wonderful old lady, centuries ago. So before she died, she locked the sum total of her wisdom about life and how to go through life into 7 rocks. And he has to go through the forest and go from rock to rock and try to unravel the sequence of stages so that at the end he can say, I've been actually a human. The whole process is how a man without a penis becomes a penis without a man. That is Zen.
So I'm going for a walk in the woods with an older man to look for a penis. Just what my mother warned me about. But she didn't warn me about this.
What is this? What are we looking at?
Oh, come on, you're the god from Olympus. Come on, that's obvious. The great man gobsmacked.
It's true, I am.
Obvious. This is the universe. This is the creative that is splitting herself in half in order to create a relative, an opposite, an other with whom to relate so that she can actually exist. So she has to tear herself in half. The kid, both women, the kid goes away, comes back as a male, copulates, they produce another one, and which means she has a succession of her own kids turned male come back, fertilize, and with this endless stream of creation, she keeps alive herself as a conscious entity.
Obvious, really. Don't know why I never thought of that myself.
Not conserved. Okay, that was the good news, now for the bad news.
What's the bad news?
Now I'm going to show you somebody in crisis.
Somebody in crisis, okay.
I think I've already met somebody in crisis.
We call him Willless or Dickless.
I hesitate to ask why.
Because he's got no dick.
Yes, I thought that'd be the answer.
This is the vehicle that is ready to go with no direction. In other words, he has an undescended creative thrust. He's basically split in half. He's actually killing himself if he just has no direction in life at all. You understand this, right? He can have a lovely butt, you see? You can wish here, you make a wish. Really? That's why I tell the Brits when they come over here. You put your hands through here, you make a wish. This is the famous Irish wishing sculpture.
It's like the Blarney arse.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, very good. Touche. This is how a person feels who can't connect anymore. The craft is dead in the water. His capacity is slowed down. He's trying to reach the shore, but his craft is dead in the water. He can't reach it. He's dying. It's a dying Buddha.
Well, what a fun day out for all the family this is. I can see why Victor's theme park doesn't get too many visitors. Victor's last exhibit looks a little understated compared to the others.
Now that is Dick.
It's
or Guillermo in Spanish. Willie.
Victor had intended this statue to be a male member.
It's looking very proud.
It is very proud. It is standing straight. It's a finger.
Yes, I thought it was a finger.
We changed it a bit for the Irish.
A wise decision, I reckon, although a little late in the tour to worry about the feel-good factor.
I see the message up there, create or die.
Yeah, that's a famous Muslim fatwa, the law of Allah, the one. Okay? You do your bit or you're a dead duck.
It took Victor 14 years to create this park. My question though is why?
When I was about 50, I came back from India and I didn't know what to do. So I did what ordinary good little Catholic boys do. I went down to the local chapel and lit a candle to the Madonna. And I said, Madonna, you old bags, I really am at the bits here. I need some help. Now, she's a wonderful lady. So a couple of days later, I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I saw the whole park. And last year, I decided to go and say thank you to the Madonna. And I walked to Lourdes.
From where?
From Dublin.
You walked from Dublin to Lourdes?
Yes.
Isn't there a bit of sea in the way?
Yes, well, I wanted to walk across, but she sent me a message that it wasn't good for her son, you know. It'd take the sheen off his hand.
How long did that take you to walk to Lourdes?
5 weeks. Sure, and when I arrived, she saw me coming. You know, she's on her pedestal down there, you know. And we had a great chat, and so we're okay now. And the next plan is to take you with me on the next pilgrimage from Kanyakumari to Badrinath.
Is that as far as it sounds?
That's as far as it sounds. It's the southern tip of India, until 4,500 meters in the Himalayas, 6,000 kilometers on foot. Just Paul and me.
I'm free Monday.
Actually, I'm not free Monday because I'm rather busy on this European tour. But don't tell Victor. I'm in Ireland and heading to the country's second biggest city, Cork. Built on the River Lee, it's also the world's second biggest natural harbour after Sydney, Australia. I've been coming to Cork since I was a boy, and I'm back here today because I've been invited to the city's coming out party. These people are gathered for Cork's Gay Pride, an event no one could even have conceived of just a few years ago. And Dave Roach is the manager of the Cork Gay Project.
So you can remember the days when homosexuality was illegal?
Oh my gosh, homosexuality was illegal until 1993.
1993.
Most of my youth group were actually criminalised when they were young. You know, it has only been 16 years.
Yes,
you know?
that's extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. And I remember the police threatening me as a very young man to take me home to my parents and out me. You know, so now working with the police, training the police, having a good relationship with the police, that's quite an amazing change.
But civil partnerships are still illegal here in Ireland, largely because the Catholic Church hasn't yet seen the light.
We've had offensively a separation from our church, the state and church since the 30s.
Yes.
But the reality is that the church was huge, powerful roles in the education system and schools, etc. I mean, it's amazing. I still hear the Pope, I still hear bishops talking about civil marriage in terms of don't give, you know, gay men and lesbians access to children. This is hilarious from an organisation with their records.
I know.
While there may be a little uncertainty or bewilderment on behalf of some Cork locals, this lady's very confused about what has happened to the number 28 bus, for instance. What is so wonderful about being here is that I get no sense of aggression. There is truly a carnival atmosphere.
A lot of these kids here probably would have no memory of what it was like beforehand.
No, and I think that's good. And when I look back now at my experiences, you know, being caught faggot in the street, you know, being threatened with violence, and I look at this now today and I see all these people with no memory of that, with no expectation of being refused services, with no limitations on their education, on their aspirations for their careers. That's amazing. That's the real change.
Good to see you. I'm very well. It's a great day for this, isn't it? Good to see you.
This flag has become to symbolise the national flag. It has the same effect as any national flag for us.
Yes.
And we're at the moment developing what's called the flag project. And this flag, battered as it is, goes to Dublin, Belfast, Limerick. It goes everywhere.
Does it?
Yeah. And it symbolises the community because everybody gets to hold it and be part of it. And that's very important.
Yes, yes.
Did you enjoy yourself?
I did immensely. I mean, I used to come to Cork a lot when I was younger, and I think sort of as a society then it would have been very difficult to imagine something as exuberant and as open as this. And that I think is wonderful. It just shows you that sort of like, you know, Ireland, there is a momentum, it is moving forward. You know, the old values have gone. And I found on this trip, Ireland's the same as it always used to be, only more so.
In fact, I've never felt more proud of my Irish heritage. And though as a country it may be experiencing some growing pains, I'm confident it will continue to blossom.
You know, Ireland has a special place in my heart, and it's wonderful. And if people sitting at home and watching this, Ireland always has weather like this. It's it's twinned with Brazil. Is that right? Yeah!
As I continue my travels around Ireland, I discover a town where Brazilians have already twinned with the Irish.
You serve a lot of potato.
Potato in the morning, potato in the evening, potato in the night.
A man who's hit pay dirt selling Irish soil to the Americans.
This isn't a clever way to try and colonise America, is it? Eventually claim that it's all Irish soil.
Go back to the 1930s to meet an American with a passion for stuffing animals.
Wow. Quite a collection of animals you have here.
Yes, I go for roadkill. Here's an otter.
And finally, meet some Irish who become German.
I mean, this is a bit controversial, this, isn't it?
Here in Ireland, no. I would probably get more adverse reaction if I'd been wearing a British uniform.
Well, Robson Green's back with us on 5 for some more extreme fishing. He starts in South Africa on the hunt for a legendary catfish. The new series, Thursday at 8. And up next, horror. Keanu Reeves and Gary Oldman lead a star-studded cast in Bram Stoker's Dracula.